So this is a build on the last video I posted, which was what if everything is either fear or love? So if we break everything down to we have a conscious choice of how to react either in fear or in love. And that is a very like a breakdown of our experience. But if we take experiences that we have perceived in the past and we think of them as, was I in fear or love, like a measuring stick of our experience, if we build on that concept of what makes someone choose unconsciously fear over love, because we never choose fear on a conscious level. And I touched a bit on it in the last video that we usually choose fear out of an unconscious trigger that we perceive it to be the most beneficial for us, as we unconsciously on autopilot perceive the situation that triggered us to be unsafe. So we have these defense mechanisms that we believe protect us. And what then have created this fear is that when we are born into the world, we have a very damaged relationship towards the feminine. And the feminine, in more sense than just our mother, it's also our relationship to our surroundings and nature and everyone around us. So this imbalance of the yin yang. Now I'm doing a brief really like a brief overview of the last video. And if you haven't seen it, then I suggest you watch it first. Because to be able to talk about this, I need to do a recap of the old stuff. Because belief to me is our kind of like the gap when we realize that we are in fear most times. What we need in order to choose love, in order to choose that we believe in whatever is happening is based in love. There is a reason that we are feeling fear. In order for ourselves to pick ourselves up, see that we chose fear, and then go towards love, I think we really need that belief. And I would say we could use belief / hope here, because what this means is that we see that, okay, let me give you an example so it's more tangible what I'm talking about, something that is relatable. Maybe we say that we meet someone for the first time, and if we have an unconscious belief that people are not to be trusted, people are selfish and don't mean well, if we have that unconscious belief system about our surroundings and other people, then if we are triggered by something, by them not responding quick enough or saying something that we perceive as aloof, then that belief system will get triggered. And if we notice this, if we have done self-work and reflected a lot on how we work, our old patterns, we know that we have a tendency to slip back into fear because we have had past experiences that have really made us view the world this way. And with our consciousness, we can reflect on this pattern, and we can then see that, okay, I was in fear. So if I prefer to be in love, because if you realize that it's an old pattern that you're projecting onto the future or onto this person, you can then see that there is some room here to actually rewrite this. Like, you can choose to see this from a loving perspective instead. And the loving thing would be to maybe react neutrally and see whatever happens, and not project onto the future of what could happen by your old triggers. If you have resistance towards this, if you think that I don't want to choose love because maybe it is true, maybe this person is selfish or is not meaning well, you are still choosing fear from the trigger. You're not open enough to choose love. You don't have the belief that it is safe to choose love. So, in order to choose love, you would need to look at this situation and see what belief does make it more attractive to choose the old fear-based belief instead of the more loving, compassionate, open, loving response. Because now it is a matter of free will. You can switch it up with whatever resonates for you. For me, it is free will. So, if you don't like free will, use consciousness instead. Or like your focus or attention, just whatever resonates. So, to have this outlook that you create your own reality, and based on either fear or love, that is how you perceive the outlook on life. So if you notice some resistance towards choosing to not react to your trigger, to not take full responsibility is really what it is. Take full responsibility and choosing love instead. If you notice some resistance, that is your inner protector trying to get you to choose the old pattern because you have used it so many times, and it is what has kept you alive until this point. So, since this is all happening unconscious, you have to also realize that there is a lot of different beliefs on top of each other that you don't have consciousness about, because if you would have consciousness about them and they are illogical, you would not have them anymore. So they have most likely all been like layered on top of each other, and now you are just, whenever you're triggered, you're just reacting from this unconscious emotional state in your body. So let's stick with the example here and say that this person is a bit like hot and cold, and you are feeling some resistance in your body towards choosing the loving, compassionate state of being towards this person. And you're feeling like you're slipping back and forth between these, like you have some compassion and then you feel fear. You feel like you feel unsafe. You don't feel like you are being seen. And of course, this particular situation differs because it could be a reason why you feel fear as well. Maybe it's your own like gut feeling telling you something. So, but this is just for the example. And if you have this also value that you want to trust and see the best in people until they choose, or until they show you that you can't trust them, then that's another story. But for the purpose of this example, let's stick with it. So maybe you can use this situation or a situation like this to explore the, do I choose fear or do I choose love? And if you are choosing fear and have consciousness about it and notice that I am choosing to be in fear again, then if you are seeing that and cannot direct it into love directly, you feel I don't want to take responsibility, I don't want to choose that version, then there is a belief that you can explore. A way to get to the belief is to question yourself and say, what is so scary with choosing to seeing it from a loving perspective instead? What am I afraid will happen? And when you do that, you can either just ask that question aloud and answer, or you can write it down and write whatever comes to you. And continue doing that until you feel like you really understand the situation. And maybe you think that you've gotten to the core belief, and then you can let it go. And then the same thing happens again in a few days, that you are noticing you are in fear instead of love. Then there's another belief. So it's this exercise, or it's this permission slip for you to really dig into the fear-based belief that is choosing or pulling you to choose fear instead of love. Inquiring into this, it's a very great way to see the conditionings, the fear-based beliefs, the protection mechanisms that you have, and using this lens of love or fear to see how you are doing, how you are consciously perceiving your reality from a situation to situation basis. And all you need here is really just waking up and using your consciousness to pause and question your perceived reality. So everything starts with, first step is always consciousness. You have to perceive what is happening, really, instead of just reacting on a unconscious autopilot way to whatever is happening in your surrounding. You are pausing, seeing, feeling something, and seeing just pausing and questioning. And whenever you do that, you really create a gap of presence where you are questioning your own patterns, your old patterns. And then you can use the power of free will and choose either love or fear. Like I always say, we have done this for a very long time, so it takes a lot of time to reprogram ourselves in this way, but it's better to start. It's better late than never, so it's good to start. And I think also once you start to get into the practice of doing this, I think it also does a ripple effect in other parts of your life, and the more consciousness you have, the easier it becomes, and so on. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.